M10. Nee, net lang genoeg. BMW. So I'm looking for an M12 bolt that is long enough and is threaded all the way, but so far I've found nothing. Underneath my workbench there is this wooden box on wheels filled with all kind of junk, and I'm calling it my schatkist or treasure chest, and most of the time I can find what I need in here. Not always. But it usually pays out to dig around here. So after digging around for a while, I found all kinds of M12 bolts, and none that I really like. So I have changed my plans again. I'm going to use this piece, and I believe it is imperial all thread, and it's very close to M16. Just like I thought. This is definitely no M16. Otherwise that spanner would have fit. Let's measure that. A bit less than 27. And someone can probably tell me what it is in imperial talk. Now, to help the world with the imperial problem, they invented the adjustable spanner. They're stuck together. There it is. I do like this big nut. It might be just what I need. So let's try and save this imperial piece of scrap from the burning furnace somewhere in hell, or more likely somewhere in China. Let's cut off a piece, something like this. I can always make it shorter, longer, that's more difficult. I just faced off the side of this project, but this huge clamp was in the way again, so I got nothing on camera. The thread here is a bit hard to turn. So that will make shooting videos a bit easier. There's a little bit of a dimple left. Let's face it off again. See if it will disappear. Basically gone. Let's center drill. Let's clean up the other side as well. Well, I guess that's not really needed because it ain't rusty. I'm at my other lathe because I want to clean up this nut a little bit. I need to move the slides a little bit closer. That's good enough. Now I need to swivel the top slide to the other side. I had to borrow the homemade clamp from the other lathe. Alright. Let's remove a bit of material. I had to move the boring bar holder to the other side of the tool post. Otherwise I could not reach inside the workpiece. A little bit more. That's enough. I'm a pretty bad welder, but I really suck when things are rusty. Fire. This helmet sucks, I don't see anything. I don't see anything! Ah, this is frustrating. I'll switch you guy off so I can curse in private. The bolt is still pretty hot and I don't feel like burning a finger today or any day. I don't know if you can see this on camera, but I've been grinding away the biggest blob of welding. Yeah, real quality job. I'm tightening up the chuck in case this has shrunk a little. A lot more has to come off. One pocket of shame. And it looks deep. Well, it's going to be a reminder. You want to take a look? I want. Looks like the bolt was offset to one side. Or maybe only the nut was offset. Who cares? Let's continue. Looks good enough. It's warm, no more than 30 degrees. Let's take it out and flip it over. A lot of material got pushed away. Maybe it's the insert that is not sharp anymore. I need a little bit more stick out on the tool bit, otherwise I'm too close to the tailstock. Pretty close to the live center, but I think it's doable. The bearings are feeling very tight tonight. I'll loosen them up a bit. I never checked if there would be enough material left for a M12 thread. Almost 14mm. So I think it's good. A bit warm. Thirteen 01. 1301. So it looks like the top slide is set pretty parallel to the bed. I don't like how hard it is to turn the spindle. I might need to loosen up the tailstock a bit. There will be some expansion because of the heat. Yeah, that feels better. 12.1, 12.1. I think I'll remove a bit more, 11.9, maybe a bit less. It's probably good. But that has to wait till tomorrow, because it's past my bedtime. .85, 6, whatever. Let's take one more very light cut to get to the size that I think I need, and put some thread on here. Now I'm going to cut a bit of a taper on here so the die will start easier. I'll try and use the same tool bit, because I don't really like to shim up another tool. I'll set this at an angle. Maybe that works. Hopefully that works. Turning the spindle by hand. Okay, this is pretty stupid. Let's fire up the motor. And of course, I'm at the end of the cross-slide treble. The live center kept stopping. Time to tighten up the tailstock a bit. I'm starting to rub the live center. That's not a good thing. This die comes out of that cheap Chinese tap and die set that I tested last year around Christmas time, if I remember correctly. I only tested the tabs and never bothered with the dies. But if they are of the same quality as the tabs, this is probably going to suck. I kinda regret never making a tailstock die holder. That project has been too long on my list. I should start next week, but I probably won't. A little bit of tailstock pressure, and I'm turning the spindle by hand. Hopefully it will start. I'm not sure if this is on camera, but yeah, you can just see it. The die holder is resting on the top slide. It looks and feels as it is starting to cut. Yeah. Well, it definitely started, but it's just so hard to turn. Maybe I need to remove a bit more material. At the moment it's 11.8. I thought that would be okay. I'll try again to turn the spindle. The pulley is too slippery. I'll get some gloves. I'll try the adjustable spanner on the chuck jaws. I think that's better, yeah. Well, that's tested till destruction. I didn't feel that one coming. As you can see, the die is not even halfway on the workpiece, and I fucked up already. Right, it's also stuck. It's not a great start of the evening. It looks a bit like that die started at an angle. I got here my bigger tapping wrench and also a bigger M12 die. Hardly ever used because I don't remember ever making an M12 thread. It has started in the thread that was cut by the previous die. Hopefully things will line up by itself and I can cut a thread. We'll see. It is still hard work, but it feels better, and the chips in the die are starting to curl up. I'm hoping this is a good sign. It is going, but it's going very slow. But with enough time, I'll probably get it done. So it looks like I made about 2 centimeters of thread. Too bad I got to cut it all away because this bolt is probably way too long. But at least I'm cutting thread. Looks like the thread is turning out okay. Just wish I was able to turn a little faster, because this is taking forever. I just cleared out the chips and I need to go a little bit further. But it is starting to look like a decent thread. It definitely looks better than Imperial. I cannot go any further. Reverse. That's easier. Looks like a decent bolt. Too bad I need to shorten it now. It's actually a very pretty looking thread. A lot nicer than Imperial. Obviously anyone can see that. Knot fits fine, there's not a lot of play. I wrapped a little piece of sandpaper around that beautiful metric thread that I made to protect it from the bite of the jaws. Now I'm going to turn down this head a little bit, it's too wide, and after that I'm going to do some knurling. 11.5 ish. I'll take off a couple of millimeters. That should be enough. What's that? I'm running into the slides. That's not the first time, and it probably won't be the last. I moved the slide. Let's continue this shit show. There's another one of those air pockets in my fantastic welding. Oh, this is so rough. I think I'm ready to do some knurling. You know, I hate this almost as much as parting off. But I'll try again. I probably just need some more practice. The piece of sandpaper is being torn apart. I suspect it's almost gone. Alright, I will set this up again with the bolt tightened up a little bit better. For my second attempt at knurling, I'm going to stick in the bolt without using any protection. Maybe not the wisest choice, but I think it will be okay. There seems to be quite a bit of contact area, and I won't tighten up the jaws too much. But before I start knurling, I'm going to try and clean up this surface a bit more, because it is terrible at the moment. And for that I borrowed the tool bit from the other lathe, and this is the insert that I used to turn that pointy bit on the previous video. The welding is harder and sounds different. It is still rather poor. But I'm afraid that if I remove too much material, this might come loose. Let's try this knurling thing again. It's a bit wobbly. I think I should be running slower. Alright, let's try again. This time with the belt at a slower position. That's not very nice. Man, that looks terrible. Terrible. I re-knurled the workpiece, set it a bit tighter, and ran it over here. It is a little bit deeper, and I think it gives plenty of grip. Now I'm going to clean up these corners with a file, and then I'm pretty much done, finally. And if you haven't guessed it yet, this beautiful metric thumbscrew that I made is for this ugly clamp of mine. The thread in here is terrible. You're excused. That's pretty shitty. I've been grinding down this bolt on the sandstone that's on my electrical grinder, and I re-tapped the hole for the third time, and now the bolt is finally moving more or less freely. It is a bit on the long side, but it is of similar length as this bolt here that's on the original clamp. I'm not sure if I'm going to shorten it. I might. I will decide when I clean up the rest of this ugly homemade tool post clamp. Maybe next week, maybe never, because I got kind of sick of this project and that annoying camera that was in my way all the time. Anyway, bye for now.